Hello, everybody. John Fulford here. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Today, I want to talk about something completely different, but kind of a corollary to music and the music business. As you could see, if you follow me or unfollowed me from Instagram, my Instagram and social media, whatever, has been kind of taken over by the gym and short-term rental property investing. So I'm going to talk today about short-term rental property investing, and if you don't like it, you could hit stop and not listen to it. But if you like it and you want to know more about it, you could keep listening as to why I started doing it, how I started doing it, and what made me change my mind from not wanting to do it to wanting to do it. And this, I'm going to look at it through a music business, entertainment business lens. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how it applies as a function as a function of the music business and Hollywood and the entertainment business, all that, yada yada yada. So I hope you're still listening. Let's talk. So every year I will go to this semi-private music conference where labels and bands and rich people, sugar daddies or whatever, would pay upwards of $2,000 and more for their artists to go to these events, maybe play live, maybe not play live, but sit in a room with a bunch of music supervisors and play them their music. It is very fun. Of course, I didn't go as a official attendee. I would just get a room at the hotel using my gold points and hang out at night with everybody, the writers, the singers, the music supervisors, yada, 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 because you can't stick me in a hotel conference room listening to my music, let alone everyone else's. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I can't do it, all right? Sitting there in those cold, sterile conference rooms, and it ain't gonna happen, okay? That's the opposite of what I got into music for, all right? So, just so you know. But I will go, and a lot of great people, a lot of better connected people than me, a lot more virtuous people than me will go and pay and go to these events and play their catalog to the esteemed music supervisors, okay? And a couple of these guys, I'm not going to mention on here, but I'll send them the recording of this so they could bask in their recognition, always were cool, calm, and collected. C, and C. While everyone else had this little sense of urgency where if they don't make a good impression on people, whether it be the labels or the publishers or the whatever, they weren't going to succeed in the business. But these two guys in specific, actually three guys in specific, but two really specifically speaking, just had this air of laissez-faire about them. They would go to the events, they would take them very seriously, but if no one used their music, it wasn't the end of the world, okay? And I got to talking to these gentlemen, and come to find out, they both were involved in different ways in real estate. I don't want to talk about exactly how, but I will say they were definitely not real estate salespeople, okay? Like, they don't have the real estate license. I will help you buy your dream home. I don't care about helping you buy your dream home, and neither do these people, okay? They were more on the investor tip, okay? Instead of driving around on a Sunday with, the Thompson family looking for some house for some commission, all right? They were looking at it from the investment tip, and I was like, geez, that's the air they had about them. Cool, calm, relaxed, collected. It just made me inquisitive about buying properties. Now, the first property I bought was in 2005, so I've since sold it, but I sold it like in 2018, I think. But I had property already, so I wasn't a first-time home buyer at this point. So I understand if you're a first-time home buyer, you haven't bought your first house yet, it could be nerve-wracking. It adds a whole level of difficulty. Luckily for me, pure luck, I already went through that in 2005 when I was in college, and they were giving loans to every Tom, Dick, Harry, Larry, Mary, Sherry, Carrie, and Larry, Aaron, Mark Maron, Barron in the world. They were just giving loans to everybody. They're kind of doing that now again, but there's a big lull in the middle. So I could only have one property. I couldn't go back to Florida and buy more. I had this property in Florida. So when I got back to LA, this conference was a little bit a ways from LA, driving distance, but not in town, so to speak. I decided to look for some properties in Florida online. Okay, online. I didn't fly to Florida. I looked online. And I found a really cool duplex. So I flew to Florida. I looked it over in person with a realtor. I negotiated it and got a really, really great deal on it, especially compared to 2021 prices. I got a great deal on it. So we put some tenants in there. My property manager, who was not my realtor, my property manager tried to steal money from me. We caught them kind of in the act, like we caught them in a lie. So I had to get another property manager, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. But it wasn't a short-term rental. It was a duplex for like long-term renters. So I'm back in LA, and I was thinking to myself, I live in Los Angeles. I live here. Why am I buying properties in Florida? So I went online, I looked at the open houses, and I decided to go to 3 open houses on a Saturday or Sunday morning, I forget which day, in LA, all within 15, 20 minutes of where I lived, okay? So the first house, I met the realtor, and he literally peeled the paint off the wall of the house and said, this house was a flip, they messed up, they did a really bad job, call me Monday and I'll show you some really good properties. So I'm like, no, I'm not calling you, you just double-crossed the people whose house this was by peeling the paint off the wall. I'm not going to work with you. What are you, nuts? I already deal with enough chicanery in the entertainment business. Now I got to deal with this chicanery too. So the second house I went to was a cool 2-house compound in Van Nuys near that Starbucks on, oh boy, what is it? Van Nuys Boulevard. Van Nuys Boulevard north of Sherman Way. I was back behind there, and there was like a 2-house compound, really cool. You could do some really cool stuff with it. But out front was a literal tent city full of homeless people. I'm not talking about one tent. I'm talking about like a tent city full of homeless people. I'm like, no way. There's just no, I'm not buying this. And of course, all these properties were just out of my price range anyway. Okay, so I don't even know if I could afford these properties to begin with. Maybe the 2-house Magoo, because I could maybe get at least as I'm buying it, and that would help me get a loan. It would be a stretch, to say the least, to get these properties. I'm like, there's no way. And the realtor of that house says, look, I sold this guy this house 30 years ago. Now I'm selling it for him. All he wants, I know we're asking this amount, but just come in about 150 grand less than this, and he'll take it, and I can get my commission. And I'm like, damn, you guys are dirty out here. You're doing that guy like that? I mean, he might have told you that, but you don't tell me that. You stand firm. You want the best price possible, don't you? No. Okay, because this realtor, like the first one, was crooked. So then I said, all right, I'm going to drive to Panorama City to look at this house. Now, if y'all know anything about Panorama City, and I'm not, Lord forbid I say anything about anything that's not a rave review on here, okay? I do not think this about Panorama City, but a lot of people think it's the armpit of the San Fernando Valley. They think it's a big turd. I like it. Roscoe Boulevard, Sherman Way, talk to me, okay? There was, I think, a Ford plant out there a long time ago that was like some nationally known car manufacturing facility. I like Panorama City. You got the Chipotle, you got the In-N-Out Burger, you got the Home Depot. I'm well-versed in Panorama City, so don't hassle me. But for those of you listening around the world that haven't been to Los Angeles, I'll tell you that Panorama City is pretty much looked down on, even though it is only like 1 or 2 exits on the 405 above like Sherman Way, all right? Or the ones, 405 hits Roscoe. Yeah, 405 hits Roscoe Boulevard. So it goes from like Sherman Oaks to Roscoe Boulevard, Panorama City, and like 2 or 3 exits, okay? So just so you know, I don't think it's the armpit of the valley, but a lot of people turn their nose up when they talk about it, much like they turn their nose up when they talk about Florida. Good. Keep talking about Florida like that. You don't want to come here. You don't like it. Good. Don't even come here to visit. You won't like it here. Don't come. We don't need any more traffic from out-of-state people coming here. Anyway, I digress. So I go into the house. No, I didn't. I go in the driveway of the house. And a gentleman comes walking out, and he goes, "Are you here for the open house?" I go, "Yes." He goes, "Oh, there's no open house, sir. Can I ask you not to stand in the driveway, please, please, sir? Get in your car." I'm like, "What the hell? We can't have you come in here, sir. Please, the police are on their way." I go, "The police are on their way. Now I gotta see in the house. What, was there someone dead in the house? I've seen that happen before. I walked in a house one time. There was a dead body. That was back in Florida when I was 19. But that maybe that's another episode we could talk about. But we won't talk about that today. Okay. So I walk in the house. And against this guy, I mean, what's this guy going to do to me, you know? I walk in the house, and there's drug paraphernalia everywhere. Needles, foil, garbage, alcohol bottles. And there's like this purse that looks like it looks like a normal person's purse, not like a drug addict's purse. And like I see like a library card, I see a social security card. So it doesn't take a genius to put together that some crackhead stole a poor woman's purse, hopefully out of her car and not off of her, hopefully, and went into this house that was vacant, and were squatting in the house for who knows how long, doing drugs and whatever kind of chicanery was going on. And this was a 2-unit because its garage was converted into like a little granny flat type of thing. It was an attached ADU. And I was like, you know what? I'm not getting a house in Los Angeles. This is stupid. The 3 houses I go to look at, and there was something wrong, really wrong, with all 3 of them. So I said, okay. All right, let me go back to Florida. I'm going to talk to the realtor whomst I talked to about my duplex and see what else I could buy. I had no interest in getting an Airbnb, short-term rental, VRBO, whatever you want to call it. I had no interest in it. I just wanted something. If I could even qualify. I don't even know if I could qualify for another property, but let's just go look. So I flew back to Florida, and I talked to the realtor, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about spending more time in Florida because they had a Burbank-Dallas flight, and they just started a Dallas-Gainesville flight. So before, for me to get to Gainesville, Florida, north central Florida, I would have to fly out of LAX through Atlanta, and if you missed that flight from Atlanta to Gainesville, you might have to wait 8 hours or a whole day for the next one, or drive the 4.5 hours. So it wasn't a very easy route. Okay, you could fly into South Florida and then drive the 4 hours, but it was just a pain. But the airlines, this is 2019, before Prickly Boy came about. I can't say the C word, I got to call it Prickly Boy, PB. They started a Burbank Airport Dallas leg. So I could leave my house an hour and 15 minutes before the flight took off and still make the flight. Okay, maybe I'd leave an hour and a half I'd probably left an hour and a half before the flight just for 15 minutes in case something happened, a long line or something. And then they started a Dallas-Gainesville flight, which is awesome. So I could be from Burbank to Dallas, Dallas to Gainesville. Perfect. And if I missed that Gainesville flight, I could always kick back to South Florida or wait for the next Gainesville flight whenever that came. It was very convenient. So I told the realtor I'm going to be spending some more time in Florida because it's much easier to get to Gainesville. I could go to football games. I could go to the fest, the music fest I go to once a year. I'm looking for real estate here in Florida instead of Los Angeles. So the realtor says, have you tried doing short-term rental properties? And I said, I don't want to do that. But if you could convince me logically to do that, I'll do it because I'm not a hotel manager. I'm not an innkeeper, but I'm not going to say I would never do it. I just don't think I would want to. But if you could convince me logically that it makes sense, I'll look into it. So we looked at houses. We found one. We looked at it. I really liked the house. We went to go make an offer on the house. And someone already made an offer. They beat us to the punch. We lost it. Okay, we lost it. So I go back to LA, rejected, dejected. Luckily, I work in the music business, so I'm no stranger to. I felt like home being rejected and dejected. So I'm at home, and every morning I'm checking Zillow. I'm checking Realtor.com. I don't even think Redfin. I think Redfin does have Gainesville, but it has some functionality is missing. That's how small of a town Gainesville is compared to Miami or Palm Beach. That means Palm Beach, for those of y'all that don't know the Miami accent. Palm Beach. So, although I grew up in West Palm Beach, I'm not allowed in Palm Beach unless I'm working, okay? So, I'm checking every day, and I check one morning, and lo and behold, guess what? The house that I made the offer on, it's back on the market. So I call the realtor. I say, the house is back on the market. And she's like, let's offer this price. I said, nah, that's why you're a realtor, not a hustler. We're not going to offer the price. We're going to give them a little low ball action because the house is back on the market. They're already pissed off because they went to sell the house. It didn't sell. So we made the offer and we said, look, it's not as much as the other people probably offered. I hope not. I hope it wasn't more than what they were going to close at. They might be saying the same thing about me, right? That they took me for a ride. But it was a fair price, all told. I said, look, I want this house. I'm not looking for any other houses in town. I want this one, but it might not be for the price that you were expecting, but it's not that far off. And I want it. I'm not going around looking at all these houses, making all these crazy offers. I want the house. So, lo and behold, they said yes. So then I got to get a loan for the house. So I call up a mortgage professional in Florida, and the guy's like, music, huh? Like, what are all these 1099s? Like, what's all this stuff? That was a process, trying to prove that I make income, Especially, like, if it was through City National or SunTrust or something, they'd at least know what ASCAP is, what BMI is, what CSAC is, what these companies are, PRS, MCPS. Like, these people, I mean, they're smart and, they're very knowledgeable, but when I say, well, when they go, how much is your ASCAP check going to be? I don't know. Like, they're like, what do you mean you don't know? So we got it done. I got the house, and I was going to live in it a little bit for football season and then maybe rent it out. I don't know. I just really liked the house. I wasn't thinking anything past football season of 2019. And the house, I forgot to mention, needed a lot of work. It needed a total repipe, like the water pressure going in, not the plumbing going out to the sewer, but the water coming in needed to be completely redone. The floors needed to be some either replaced or something put over the floors. It needed a lot of work. Paint, it needed a lot of stuff. Like the staircase was like a child death trap because the upstairs landing was too low. Like a kid would jump off it, or if you're an adult over 5'5", you could fall over it because your center of gravity is higher than the thing. Anyway, I needed a lot of work. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stay in Florida for like a month or two. Luckily, no, at that point, no, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'll stay in Florida for like a month. Let's stay in Florida for like a month. Fix this up, manage everything, woo, and then we'll figure out what's what. Because this was like August, so football season didn't start yet. Month to fix up the house, month goes by, I go back to LA. I said, I'm going to go back to LA and maybe go back to the house for like a game or two and then figure out if I want to put this thing on Airbnb, if I want to rent it out to like a family or some college kids or something, we'll figure it out. So I go back to LA in September and I was like, I got a really good deal on this house. I want to go to Asia in January 2020, right? The perfect timing, right? Going to Asia January 2020 and do like a whole Asian music catalog, Dragon Gate Music. I was already cutting promos for it. I was already getting like what albums I was going to do, all this stuff. So I was like, all right, let me end my lease in LA to the house I was renting. That's a good idea, right? So I wasn't paying all that money in rent and not even living there. And throw my stuff into storage in LA and then go back to Florida and then go to Asia and then go back to LA. But I was like, wait a minute. What would the dude Mike Ehrmantraut say from Breaking Bad? He says no half measures, right? No half measures. So me moving all my crap into a storage unit in LA, that is what? A half measure. So I said, you know what, Mike Ehrmantraut? You are right. What would Heisenberg do? So I went on Facebook Marketplace. I said, I got a free fridge. I got a free couch. I got a free this. I got a free that. And I was just giving stuff away. Get it out. I was mailing boxes of crap to my family down in South Florida. Like, here's my important papers, and here's some lightweight studio equipment that I don't want to, like, I can't ship stuff that's too heavy, you know? And then I packed my car up and I drove myself to Florida in October of 2019. Okay, October 2019, drove myself to Florida. I'm in Florida, cool. My place, luckily for me, I spent so many late nights in Florida before I went back to LA to get my stuff, assembling the beds and the bed frames, because I didn't want to go into a half-furnished house. It was a 4-bedroom house, and even though I'm only one person, I wanted to make sure everything was furnished. So if I want to rent it furnished, or if I want to rent it at Airbnb, because at this point I was kind of warming up to the idea of Airbnb, you know. I want it to be turnkey. I don't want to have to be in Asia somewhere and worry about getting a bed frame fabricated in the house, or assembled rather in the house, right? So I get in the house. I drove in 2.5 days. There was no stopping me. There was no stopping me. I got pulled over with all this crap in the car, and the police officer's like, all right, man, go ahead, you're good. Because he could tell. Like, he looked in my eyes, and he's like, there ain't no stopping me. Well, obviously, he stopped me, but you know what I mean. Okay, and I think they were looking for a drug mule, because a couple miles down the road, someone with the exact color and make car of mine was also pulled over. So I think they got a tip on a specific kind of car, and they were just pulling all of them over. And the guy, like, I guess he figured that I wasn't a drug mule, which he figured right, you know. So I get to Florida, cool, I'm good, I'm tip-top shape, tip-top magoo, cool. So it's football season. Let's take some pictures of the house and get this on Airbnb just to see what happens, right? Just to see. I put it up, and sure enough, I got a booking. And the booking, I don't even think, oh wait, it was over a football weekend, but the people weren't coming for football. They were just happened to come over a football weekend. So I was like, wait, if someone comes randomly over a football weekend, that means my place could have got rented twice, because it would probably get rented for a football game. So I was like, oh, wow, there might be some demand. I didn't know. What happens again? Someone books for another football game weekend. I was like, okay. Then someone booked it for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I said, ooh, this is Christmas 2019, end of 2019. I said, okay, we got something. And then someone went online and booked it for like a week or 2 weeks, and I was like, I got to cancel this booking. It's my fault. I didn't know, like, I don't have a place to stay for 2 weeks. I could go stay in a cheap motel or with a friend or in South Florida for a couple nights, but I don't know where to go for 2 weeks. So luckily the people booked far enough in advance that they hopefully found another place to stay. I was like, wow, this is really something, isn't it? So that's how I got into short-term rentals. And now I'm getting ready to I pick up some more. I don't want to talk too much on here about it yet. I'll talk about it in the past tense after I get everything and it all gets stabilized and set up and stuff. But let's talk about what it did for me. I'm a big fan of this anti-fragile concept. Nassim Taleb talks about it. I'm a big fan of it, and what it did, it took some fragility out of my life and out of my career. And I didn't know COVID was going to happen. My plan was only to be in Florida until January, then go to Asia. But January 1st, New Year's Day, I was going into the gym. That's a whole other podcast. I could talk about the gym all day. Going into the gym, and I saw on my phone, mystery pneumonia strikes Wuhan. I said, what's that? And there you go. And then 2020, as we know, was in the books, is what it was. And now 2021 is in the books, is what it is shaping up to be. So my Airbnb did get locked down for, I think, about 6 weeks when Airbnb stopped all bookings. But then as soon, the day they lifted that moratorium, I don't know if that's the right word, on Airbnbs, like Airbnb shut down Airbnbs. And then the day they turned them back on, I got 3 bookings in one day. So I was like, oh, wow. So this is great, you know. I got booking for 1 weekend, then a couple weeks later, then people were looking, right? As soon as they were able to book, they booked. So what this does, it balances out my music prowess. Okay, it balances out my music prowess. Music is still very important. I'm still doing a lot of music stuff. Actually, I realized that I have to send out some emails tonight regarding a new project that I just remembered we're working on as I'm doing this podcast. And don't forget that the music income over the years, scrimping and saving and saving and scrimping, paid for this Airbnb property. But the next Airbnb property, this one might be paying for. So I kind of saw in their eyes, those gentlemen at that music conference, the cool, calm, and collectedness. And now I'm starting to feel that same thing. I used to have to work on every single project I heard about, or if I'm watching football and there's a song, like, why didn't I get that song on there? And I wonder who picked that song. Now I could just watch football and relax. And that's something that I hope all of you experience immediately. Not at some point in your career, immediately, right now, immediately. So if you have an opportunity to add some anti-fragility in your life, it might not even be real estate or Airbnbs, or it might be something totally different. It might be NFTs for all I know, right? Or live performances, DJing or something. It will help your music career, because you could say no to projects that you don't want to do or you can't do very well, and say, I can't do that project that well. I don't want to disappoint you. I'd rather disappoint you now and say no than disappoint you in the future where you can't hire anyone else because you spent all the budget on me. You could say that, and that will earn you some long-term street cred in the entertainment business if that's what you want to do. Okay? So that's it. I'm gonna wrap up. The next podcast I'm gonna do is gonna be about what was it gonna be about? Wait, I'm drawing a blank here. I have so many things I want to talk about. Oh, how to get gigs in Hollywood, and the short answer is to start producing content yourself. But I'm gonna go in deeper and more detailed in that regard. I know some of y'all are waiting on that. I'm getting to it. I just wanted to pop this one off real quick. This podcast, Saturday night, Gators won over FAU 35-14. I was not at the game, but a nice family rented my Airbnb for the weekend. And so just to recap, my Airbnb is going great, but it's a job. Okay, it's a very good part-time job. It's not passive income like people say. You have to be on it, the cleaning team, the maintenance team, the lawn team, the pool team, all that stuff. But it's a good counterbalance to being worried about your music royalties. Okay? So that's it for the podcast, everybody. I hope you have a good Labor Day weekend. Hit me up. Instagram me if you're still on my Instagram. A lot of y'all bailed off my Instagram because not a lot of music posts, but that's my life. I can't make another post about Future Bass Volume 33. Okay, my fingers won't hit the buttons on the phone to post that anymore. I just can't post another album cover of Tension Drones Volume 88. It ain't gonna happen. But if you want to go on my Instagram, it's Instagram/Fulford News Network. You could see my property. You could see me at the gym and all that good stuff. And I hope you all are doing well. I wish all y'all the best, and I'll catch you next time.